today started covering the International Workers' Day March that was going on as part of May Day. That march started in the Central District. Central District is a historically black district because of redlining laws and the history within Seattle. And they marched to Westlake, and then from Westlake to the federal courthouse. The federal courthouse, they set up a PA system. There were politicians, union leaders, candidates running for office, business leaders that were addressing a group. They marched a lot. And so the group had dwindled down a little bit simply because it was a very, very long march. When people were listening to these speakers, while we were covering that, I was getting information that there was a large group of bicycle officers that were heading into downtown Seattle. And I was like, okay. And so while I was streaming these speeches going on, I had my head essentially on a swivel, kind of looking behind, looking up, trying to croon and looking for police lights, or what you'll see in the distance is they actually kind of look like black bloc protesters in the distance, but they're bike cops because they're all in black. And then we could start hearing LRAD announcements in the background. They're getting closer and closer. LRAD's a really loud directed sound device if you don't know what LRAD is. And if you do, I'm not trying to be patronizing. Forgive my neurodivergency. So I walked over to the intersection of 7th and Stewart, and I looked down towards 8th, which is kind of in the direction of the West Precinct. And when I was looking down there, I didn't see anything. But then I caught a jump van. I call them a jump van. As I followed the jump van on the stream and on my real camera, that's when I saw groups of black. There was an individual streaming for Converge who was very upset because they were being accosted by a woman. We have that on camera. That woman said something to me. I have expressed on my streams and in the studio my strong opinion on skinny white women showing up at Black Lives Matter protests. Black Lives Matter protests, skinny white women, and have a certain, I don't know, Karenism to them. I hate to put it that way. And if you don't behave that way, I'm not talking about you. So don't get upset at me. So anyway, we started following that group. That group then marched down to the same intersection that the other group that we were originally following that was doing the speeches. That group packed up and left because there's a thing, Omari Salisbury, famous streamer, great journalist, Converge, who we're partners with. He had a thing called the Funky Scale, and he gave me permission to use it on his stream. I would always started like, apologies to Omari, I'm going to use your Funky Scale. Things went from like a 1 to a 5, and 5 is like, it could get spicy. It's like it's the right, it could tip. Past 5, things are getting spicy. 5, it just went like from 1 to 5 like that. The other group left. The group in block kind of held that intersection for a few minutes. There was a standoff with the bike officers and officers and jump vans in general, and then that group marched. We followed that group for an extended period of time. Got a little chippy with the Seattle Police Department because they were being pretty bullshit with my ability to operate as a member of the press. You're not real press. Yeah, we're real press. We're part of the Google News Network. We're talking to the Associated Press, right? Literally, like in talks with the Associated. Yeah, we're press. Get over yourselves. Anyway, they've started heading up the hill, and we called good. What's interesting is I can hear LRAD, and I can see lights, and I tapped out too soon. I don't know if you can see, way up there. Reason I tapped out, generally when they start heading up the hill like this, it's done. Nothing else is gonna happen. Police aren't gonna do anything. They're just following them back to Cal Anderson Park. It's all done. That's been my experience multiple times. Anyway, For my own safety, I'm probably not going to walk back to the CD. I'm probably going to get an Uber or Lyft. And it'd be a long ass walk. It'd be a good healthy walk, but for my own safety, Andy No was scraping our streams tonight. If you don't know who Andy No is, a piece of shit. Support the blue. What are you into, Smurfs? Smurfs aren't real. It's a cartoon. My mask? Are you supporting the... I agree. You should definitely wear a mask. Support the blue mask, blue N95 mask. I agree. Totally support wearing blue N95 masks. It's a comment on TikTok. Chuds. Anyway, it's International Workers' Day. I'll close with this. As somebody who was a product of the 80s, people hear International Workers' Day, product of the 80s, they immediately think Red Square, Politburo, soldiers, tanks, nuclear missiles. Da 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 da. Right? That's what we think. That's what we were raised to think, which is bullshit. Almost the entire world celebrates International Workers' Day, including democracies, including capitalist countries. We're one of a few countries that doesn't. And it goes back to the Haywood Massacre in Chicago and the protests and memorials that started around that. And then people getting concerned in political circles like, well, if we keep letting this happen on May 1st, American workers might start organizing with international workers, and all of a sudden we're going to have to start giving American workers more, like fair wages. And so they gave American workers Labor Day, the first Monday in September. And that's the history behind it. That's why we have Labor Day. Labor Day is just remarketed. I say that as a marketing person. Labor Day is just remarketed International Workers' Day. And then we don't even treat it like International Workers' Day. We treat it as, for some parts of the country, oh, the kids go back to school tomorrow. Not all parts. I know some parts of the country, kids go to school in August. I lived in Texas for 8 years. But in other parts of the country, oh, the kids are, like here, oh, kids are going back to school tomorrow. It's the last chance to have a barbecue. Enjoy some hamburgers. Summer's over. And that's kind of how we treat Labor Day. So anyway, I'm going to close. If you're on TikTok, thank you for joining us. We don't post a lot right now because we're kind of trying to figure out what we want to do with TikTok. So we haven't been posting a lot, but we will keep streaming for now. So go ahead and follow us over there. We really appreciate it. You look through some of our content, give us some love. If you're on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, subscribe, like, follow, depending on which channel you're on. It is the cheapest and easiest way to help us grow. It's free. It's totally fucking free. Free. What else is free in life? All this is free. It's not free for me, but it's free for you. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. TikTok land. We're gonna say goodbye. Rest of the channels, we're gonna say goodbye. Malcontent out. We will see you Monday.